Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight, I have a special show in store for you. I have Florida metal legends Brutality with me. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, how y'all doing?
So we have Jeff, Scott, and Jay here with us tonight. And let's start off with Jeff, who was with the band when all this started. What can you tell us about the early days of Brutality, if you can remember?
Well, the early days, we were just kind of getting started as far as playing our instruments and everything. And we were kind of just more like a thrash, kind of a speed punk kind of stuff. And just evolved into death metal, because when we started, there wasn't really death metal. It was more like the thrash, the Slayer, the Metallica type stuff. And it kind of just started from there. And as we got better with each demo and each release, we started veering more towards the whole death metal sound and the heavier stuff.
And now back in '87, Death came out with their first album. Possessed was coming out with their second album. This was all the start of the big death metal era, if you will, and you guys were right there as part of it. Godfathers of metal in your own right. So really, you guys were there from the start of it.
Pretty much. We were there, Morbid Angel had just been around for about a year. Obituary, those guys came out around the same time as us. The whole thing is we never really got the recognition because we got signed later than all of those other bands. So we kind of got the second wave kind of deal. So we really never got the pub we should have gotten probably for being around for all those years that we were around.
And like I was saying, you guys came out during all this time. You guys had your albums come out, and when just prior to Scott coming into the band, when Larry was there, what caused Larry to leave? And Jeff and Scott come in?
We parted ways with Seth because we were getting better and he just wasn't. He just was stuck in his spot as far as how he could play and what he could play. And we were getting more, stuff going on as musicians. We were writing better songs. He couldn't do it. So we decided to go as a four-piece at first, and I was doing the lead vocal. Well, we decided we wanted to get a front man. Scott was doing roadie stuff with us. We've been friends for years. And he tried out, and that's pretty much how it all went down.
So I was just going to ask Scott, what were the circumstances it came about to join in the band, but you just answered it. So Scott, what was it like for you? He was saying you were the roadie first, and then you came in and the singer, so you pretty much already knew all the material, right?
Most of it I knew. At that point, the Metamorphosis demo was out, so that's the songs that they were playing. Jay had recently joined the band, and Jay and I had known each other since we were 15. So that's as far as the roadie things go, we were just kind of I was hanging out with the band.
Yeah, he would come to shows and we would play and help us load in equipment. We didn't have roadies. We just all loaded our own shit and had friends that would hold up the help.
I learned those songs first, and then when Jay had come into the band a little bit before me, they were writing some of the newer songs, Cries and stuff that ended up on the album, Screams of Anguish. But I basically learned the Metamorphosis demo, and that's what I came in and kind of rehearsed with them before I actually became the vocalist. And I was singing those songs before we actually started on working on the album songs.
Okay, so you guys got this new brutal lineup then, right? And you pop off your debut album in 1993, Screams of Anguish, and right off you guys head out on a European tour. So what was this experience like of making your debut and wham, you're out to Europe for all you guys? Just let us know who's talking.
This is Scott. We were so young, I think I was 20 years old. I had maybe turned 21 when we went on tour. So for us, it was just what we'd always kind of like dreamed of. And so you get there and you realize, damn, this is pretty fucking hardcore. You know?
Not about that.
I mean, death metal in 1993 on your first tour with the Swedes. Hypocrisy was not the dreamiest thing in the world. It was really hard. It was a really hard thing to do. Did we have fun? Yes. But it was a challenge. It was a challenge. Every day was a challenge to get through the day. And be away so far away from like your home for the first time in a new place where everybody's talking a different language, and it was a culture shock, that's for sure. But the fans were great, and we had a great time.
And after the last album you guys did, right, split up, what led to all that crap?
This is Jeff. Basically, it got to the point where it was more of a job than it was fun. And we weren't getting no push from the label. We kept going through guitar players and that were, really not in the same style as far as musicians goes when we first got going with the albums with Jay and stuff like that. So each album is kind of different in a way because we had a different guitar player on every one. So after In Mourning, it really got kind of to the point where it was more of a job, and we were kind of getting more into personal stuff, having our own businesses, wives, girlfriends, things like that, to the point where, the label wasn't giving us no push. So we kind of just decided, you know what, we're just going to kind of just put it away.
And when you put it away, you were still doing shit, right? Weren't you like re-releasing stuff and releasing past stuff and putting out some old stuff that people never heard about during all that time?
Most of that stuff is bootleg for the most part. I mean, that kind of put stuff out that he really shouldn't have. We really didn't start re-releasing stuff until later on. I mean, years later.
Yeah, this is Jay, but Nuclear Blast licensed the shit to everybody.
Oh, man.
During that time period.
Yeah, we never seen anything from it, so.
And there's versions of albums that we didn't even know existed until our fans show them to us. Crazy.
We started repressing Screams of Anguish and Sky Turns Black and stuff on our own really just recently, since 2012, yes, since we recently kind of reformed and started our own way of distributing our music. And I mean, as far as Nuclear Blast goes, I mean, we kind of like turn our head one way and they turn their head another. That's kind of the relationship we have at this point.
So I was going to say, what was the decision for you guys to get this bitch fired back up? But it sounds like you were like, shit, they're re-releasing all our stuff. We got to get out there and stop this. Why did you guys come back and reform and start doing shit again?
I'd say our fans, maybe. I mean, Jeff and I really had no plans on doing this again. Jay and Donnie had started working together on this like side work and playing guitar again, and then they were talking about maybe reforming and just doing like some reunion stuff.
Yeah, a guy had started a MySpace page, and it was just a fan page, but the response to it was pretty overwhelming, and there was like people from all over the world that were, saying, this is my favorite album, or, this is my favorite album, and that was kind of the first time we kind of tried it, and it didn't really fall into place as easily as we hoped it would, and then we revisited the idea a couple of years later, and Scott and Jeff were into it, and that's the only way we really wanted to do it, was if we had the original lineup from the first record. And everything just kind of fell into place. So it worked out. And then, that's what led us to where we are now.
Okay, so here we are now, 2016, almost 20 years since your last full-length album release, and now you guys are out with Sea of Ignorance, a very no-nonsense, brutal, deathy album. What were you guys trying to achieve when you were writing this album?
Global dominance.
Mr. Scott, I don't think we were really trying to achieve anything besides just giving our fans another, album from us. Would we like to be credited a little bit more for what we've done since, we've started and all the things that we've done for the scene? We're all pretty much down to earth and realize that we've always been an underground, underrated death metal band, and at this point, we're really okay with that. Because, if we're anything else, and we're all into our 40s, mid-40s. We're not built for touring anymore. If things really blew off the lid, we wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves, because physically, we're just not capable of sustaining that kind of, fame, I guess.
We're old decrepit.
We'd have to dust off the walkers and fucking bust out the wheelchairs to take this fucker on the road.
I'm not saying it's that bad. It's just, we're just not.
Well, this is the whole thing. The whole goal of this whole thing was to put an album out for our fans, because if it wasn't for our fans, we wouldn't be anywhere. And that's the thing about a lot of bands, is they don't have that personal relationship with their fans like we do. We're friends with a lot of our fans. Mm-hmm. What we want to do is play festivals to be able to play in front of a lot of fans, where we don't have to do touring. That's the whole goal.
Right.
Does that happen or not? Kind of remains to be seen.
So what was the writing process like then when you were writing this album? Did you all actually get together to do this? Or did you do it like bits and pieces and mail it off to each other and shit?
We do a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Jeff and I wrote songs, on our own. We also got together on several occasions and wrote riffs together. Lyrically, we all contributed. Then, once all the lyrics were there, Jeff and Scott got together and worked out their patterns and everything. But yeah, it was kind of a little bit of everything. And I think that's what makes us sound the way we do, because we all have different influences and different things that we bring to the table, but in the end, it always sounds like Brutality.
And now technology has changed quite a lot since recording your last album. What was the recording process like for you guys, and where did you record it?
Jeff, it was pretty much the way we've always done it, because we wanted to keep the natural sound and recording. We didn't want to do the whole everything to where it's all computerized and everything's done this and that and the other. We wanted to go in there and do what we always do, lay down a good fucking track, and then make sure that it sounds heavy in the end. And where's the...
We recorded it at New Constellation in Orlando with our good friend Jarrett Pritchard. Did the last 1349 record. We've known Jarrett since, I met Jarrett at the same time I met Scott, so I was like 16 years old, somewhere around there. He did a fucking fantastic job on the record.
And so what's the basic theme of the songs, and is it somewhat of a concept album? What's going on with the basic themes and stuff?
Well, this is Scott. Most of our albums and the lyrics, even the earlier stuff that, Jim Coker wrote for the first album, were all based on anything from politics, religion, environmental stuff. Some of it goes back to some of the things that we liked as kids in movies, like Thorium and stuff like that. Like, some of it's like zombie-like gore, but, a
lot of the stuff, mainly, especially the new album, has a lot to do with the basic demise of our world by people like politicians and, extremists and all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. That's basically what the album's about.
Yeah, because that stuff is ultimately way scarier than, singing about fucking fairies and demons and, all this. The real world is ultimately fucking the scariest shit, there is, period. You can't make that shit up.
No. And now the cover art itself, right? You have, the innocence of the child and all the horribleness going on in the screens before him. Is that, what were you trying to depict in that?
Exactly.
exactly what you just said.
Okay. Sometimes I get it, sometimes not so much, you know? And also, Scott and I were just talking about this the other day. The Bathory song you included in the album. Now, Scott, do you sing the clean parts in that too?
No. That's Jay singing the clean part.
Okay, I was going to say, that's kind of interesting.
So we all had to, when we did that song in the studio, we all had to, like, you know, step up and make that song happen kind of how we wanted it. We really had no clue whatsoever how we were going to all do that. But it just came down to where we figured Jay would do the clean parts, I would do the more, you know, guttural vocals like I usually do, and Jeff did the middle vocals, you know, the more black metal and raspy stuff.
Yeah, I embraced my inner Steve Perry.
Well, you sounded beautiful, Jay.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, why did you guys choose this particular song?
It's a song. Okay, so there's a band that we're friends with that Jarrett was in called Eulogy, and their drummer Clayton Gore turned me on to the Hammerheart album. Like when I was in Brutality in the '90s, and that album inspired one of the songs that I did on Screams of Anguish called "Cries of the Forsaken," and it's always been a song that I liked. And when we were kicking around ideas, I sent those guys the song, never thinking in a million years that they would dig it, and everybody was like, "We actually like it. That would be fucking heavy as shit if we did that." Yeah, I mean, it turned out, it's one of my favorite songs, honestly.
Well, the thing is, you know, we grew up listening to Bathory and Venom and all this kind of stuff. We like black metal, we like death metal, we like thrash, speed. That's why our music is so diverse, because we have so many different styles and the things that we like that it comes out in our music.
And yeah, you guys did a great...
Mr. Bungle or something.
Yeah, I was going to say you guys did a great job on that track too. When I popped the CD in, I didn't read anything. I just opened it up, ripped it open, and threw it in. I didn't read the songs. I didn't know the sound that particular cover song was in there. I didn't know any of that. So I'm hearing the beginning of it, and I'm like, this song sounds really super familiar. But then I wasn't sure until it actually started picking up, because, you know, the name of the album is Sea of Ignorance. You know how it has the ocean at the beginning. I'm like, well, maybe this is just some ocean sea song or something. And then when it started kicking in, yeah, I was like, this is awesome. And when, like you said, I didn't know all of you sang on it, so that makes it even all the more awesome. It's a great cover you guys did, for real.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, okay, so it's definitely one of my favorite songs off the album, but I also really super like the last track, End of Days. Do you guys have any, like, particular songs in there that you really love off the album?
You know, this album to me is one of those ones that you can listen to from beginning to end, and you pretty much like every one. Each one has its own kind of feel and style to it, to where it doesn't sound like you're listening to the same band, but it is. You know what I mean? So I really, for me, I like the whole album. I mean, everything about it to me it turned out a lot better than I thought it would, with all the shit that went down and the way we had to go and do everything we did to get this album out. It turned out extremely well.
Jeff and I were talking earlier, and I was talking to a couple of other friends about, you know, comparing songs and comparing albums, and Art Hammer, who did some of the artwork for us, he always tells me that, you know, you can't really compare Brutality albums or compare songs with each other. They're all high top shelf. It's like comparing, you know, Patron and, you know, something else, you know, another high dollar liquor. He said they're all good. You know what I mean? They're all on the same shelf. You know, so
personally, I like Sea of Ignorance, the title track, and 48 to 52. Those are my, like, two favorite songs. I like the whole record, the whole, but those two songs, for me, kind of sum up. Like, you could listen to those two songs and know what we're all about, for sure. You know?
Yeah, it's a great album. Now, you guys are all then pretty happy with how it came out.
Definitely. Very happy.
There's, of course, you know, it's the same every time you do a record. You're like, you put it out, and then after you've listened to it for a while, you're like, oh, we could have done this different, or we could have done this, or whatever. But I mean, you could. We could kill ourselves. We'd still be working on it. We'd be burning cigarettes and drinking coffee and sitting in front of our computer and just mixing away for hours on end.
Luckily enough, we had Jarrett with us, and he wouldn't let us do that. He's
a good producer.
Yeah, he's a good producer. He pushed us where he needed to push us.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, he's been our friend, more than half of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really easy going in the studio to record this stuff and get it done how we wanted to get done and not sound overproduced.
Right.
Or, sound like it was, all mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
And, he wasn't going to let us to get away with that. If we screwed up, he said, stop. Go back, we're doing this again,
Yeah, too many bands sound exactly the fucking same.
Mm-hmm.
Same trigger drum samples, same fucking guitar sound, same super low vocals. It's just, it's
the same artwork.
It's boring.
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
Mm-hmm.
And people complained about some of our artwork, and we're like, well, we could have had, demons, goats, fucking girls if you want.
Yeah,
that's what you want to see.
Nuns spanking each other, demons and facial landscapes with, war.
We've never been about any of that kind of stuff. Even from the get-go. I mean, we've always been about others. None of them have to do with satanic or gore or any of that stuff. I mean, you have little sprinkles of that kind of stuff here and there, but for the most part, we've always been more or less realistic with some of the lyrics and stuff that we write. Because, like you said, real life is a lot more scary than made up shit.
There's already a cannibal corpse. You know what I mean? Like, there's already a carcass. There's already, I can't stand it when bands rip off other bands' things. It's like, oh, let's have a bunch of songs with medical titles like Carcass, but nobody will notice. It's just fucking stupid.
There's only so many times you can say blood and guts and intestines,
This next song is called Butter Knife Hysterectomy. All right, come on, everybody. Fucking just ridiculous.
Okay, so then where can people find out more about the band, and what sites could they go to in case maybe you get a festival date?
Everything will be posted on our Facebook page.
www.brutalitytheband.com. Or you can go to our Facebook page and give us a thumbing and or liking at www.facebook.com/brutalitytheband. You can see my Tinder profile at
Oh, jeez. Okay, now that's enough. Too much information there now. So, okay, you guys, thank you all for doing this interview with me. And again, Sea of Ignorance is out now. So if you like what you heard on tonight's show, definitely pick yourself up a copy. You could go to their Facebook site to find out all about that. And again, thank you guys so much for being on the show. It's great having legends on here, and all the best of success to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for the interview. We appreciate it. Yep.